الحمد لله ثم الحمد لله. الحمد لله تعالى نحمده ونستعينه ونستهديه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله تعالى من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. يا ربنا لك الحمد كما ينبغي لجلال وجهك ولعظيم سلطانك. سبحانك لا إله إلا أنت الله وحدك لا شريك لك، إله فرد صمد لا رب سواه ولا معبود سواه. وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله وصفيه وخليله، أرسله رحمة للعالمين وهدى وبشرى للمحسنين، فبلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح الأمة وجاهد في الله حق جهاده حتى أتاه اليقين من الله تعالى. وصل اللهم عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن اهتدى بهديه واتبع سنته واقتفى أثره بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد، قد روى الإمام مسلم في صحيحه عن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه قال: قال الله تعالى: يا عبادي إني حرمت الظلم على نفسي وجعلته بينكم محرما فلا تظالموا. It's been narrated in Sahih Muslim that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Allah the Almighty says, O my servants, I have prohibited oppression for myself and made it prohibited amongst you. So do not oppress one another. And if we were to look at the verses of the Quran, there are plenty of verses, countless verses, talking about dhulm, oppression. And many verses as well talking about oppressors. In particular, around 97 verses talking about the oppressors, al-zalimun or al-zalimin, whatever sigha we have in Arabic. But there's something very special when I was reading the Quran. Only in one surah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned al-mustad'afin, the helpless people. Only in one surah. And He mentioned it 3 times. In Surah An-Nisa, Allah mentioned al-mustad'afin 3 times. And you won't find this in any other surah. So the word al-mustad'afin, you were to search in the Quran, you won't find al-mustad'afin but in Surah An-Nisa. 3 times Allah has mentioned al-mustad'afin, the helpless people. Of course, the word al-mustad'af derived from da'f, which is usually the root of any word. In the Arabic dictionary, we refer the words to its roots. So the majority of the Arabic words derives from thulathi, 3 letters, and then 4, and then 5. Rarely you find 6 as original letters. Let's forget about suffixes and other stuff. Talking about original letters. So the original letters of many words in the Arabic, the majority refers to 3 letters. So and one of it is al-mustad'afin. So al-mustad'afin goes back to da'f. So dad and ayn and fa. Da'f, which is weakness. And the whole meaning is around this. Allah Azza wa Jal stated in the Quran, خَلَقَكُم مِّن ضَعْفٍ. He created you from da'f, from weakness. وَخُلِقَ الْإِنسَانُ ضَعِيفًا. And the human has been created weak. Because of his desires, because of his hawa, what he likes, and so on. So this is mainly the weakness points in us as humans. It's not only talking about the physical weakness, although we have plenty of that. But it's the weakness in the character, it's the weakness in the heart, it's the weakness in your manners, and so on. This is what really matters. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He revealed the message for the prophets since Adam till our Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, to keep humanity in justice, to deliver justice, to deal with one another in justice and fairness. So the moment people go beyond justice, go to oppression, go to transgression, ta'addi or dhulm, then we have a punishment on that. For certain in the akhirah, in the hereafter, but more likely as well, we might see it in this very world, this very punishment. إن السبيل على الذين يظلمون الناس ويبغون في الأرض بغير الحق فلهم عذاب أليم. So the blame lies on those who are oppressing others and transgressing in the land without any right. For them, they will have a severe punishment. Then the scholars divided dhulm into three categories. So oppression is divided mainly into three categories. Number one is between us and Allah Azza wa Jalla, which we call shirk. So when we associate with Allah, God forbid, a partner, then this is dhulm, classified in Sharia. إن الشرك لظلم عظيم. In fact, association is a huge wrongdoing, dhulm. So this is category number one. And this is the highest level of kaba'ir, the biggest sin. Category number two, the scholars said dhulm, number two is between people, amongst themselves. Going beyond the limits, wrongdoing, to wrong somebody, to take his money, to insult him, to beat him up, to whatever. So different categories as well under oppressing one another. So for that, there are plenty of verses mentioning the punishment for going beyond the limits and committing aggression against one another. And category number three, it's between you and yourself. وَمِنْهُمْ ظَالِمٌ لِنَفْسِهِ, as Allah stated in the Quran. And amongst them, those who have committed wrongdoing to themselves. He's not oppressing anyone, he's not committing any shirk, but he's just committing something wrong against himself. So our category today is category number two, oppression amongst people. And this is why Allah Azza wa Jal made it forbidden, because it goes beyond justice. Allah Azza wa Jal wants people to stick to justice and fairness and deal with one another in justice and fairness. What happens if we are not listening? Then corruption will happen. Punishment is waiting for those who are oppressing one another, for certain in the akhirah, and they might see it in the dunya. And the Prophet ﷺ, as in the hadith, اتقوا دعوة المظلوم فإنها ليس بينها وبين الله حجاب. Beware of the supplication of the oppressed, There is no veil between it and Allah Azza wa Jalla. Even if that person was disbeliever, if he was oppressed and he was to supplicate and he was to ask, then Allah will respond to him or to her. And in the other hadith, Allah has promised to respond to the supplication of those who are oppressed. وَعِزَّتِي وَجَلَالِي لَأَنصُرَنَّكِ وَلَوْ بَعْدَ حِينٍ. By my might and majesty, I will respond even if it takes some time. So Allah will respond to those who are oppressed. And unfortunately, oppression is all over the place. We don't just read about it in history. We don't just read about it in Quran or in the Hadith. We unfortunately, we have witnessed this oppression all over the place. And the latest, let alone the Arab world, the latest in Myanmar. The last 2 weeks, 126,000 fled the country. UN, they say, every day we are expecting around 15,000 to leave their houses on a daily basis. And why that? No justification, but because they are Muslims. And it takes us back to the story which the Quran mentioned about those who's been flung into the ditch, Ashab al-Ukhdud, because of their faith, because of their belief. So unfortunately, we've seen this as well in our own eyes, and we can't see anymore. And to be honest with you, sometimes, probably many times, I won't see the news when they put some graphics or images, and I have to skip it. It's too much, starting from Palestine, Syria, Iraq, and we lost count now. Yemen, you name it, and now Myanmar. So Allah Azza wa Jalla is saying in the hadith, إِنِّي حَرَّمْتُ الظُّلْمَ عَلَى نَفْسِي. I have forbidden oppression for myself and have made it forbidden amongst you. فَلَا تَظَالَمُوا. Do not oppress one another. We are not listening. We do not want to listen. So what will happen? You will create a new breed of hatred. You will create a new breed of terrorism. And probably we've had this discussion many times. We are fighting terrorism. We try our best to defeat terrorism and so on. You'll fight it the right way, otherwise you'll create a new breed of terrorists. New breed of terrorism. When you fight terrorism with terrorism, it's not the solution. You fight terrorism with justice, with fairness. I'm not saying be weak and let them take the advantage of that. No one said this. But it's not a justification to just massacre people, ethnic cleansing and what have you, under the name of, those people are terrorists and supporting some terror groups, I don't know what. I can't understand this. I can't buy into this. Those are weak people, helpless, as Allah stated in the Quran. Mustad'afin, helpless. And the unique thing, as I've mentioned earlier, in that very surah, Surah An-Nisa, the only surah in the Quran which has been named after An-Nisa, woman. the main topic of the surah is about women. And when you read deeply into the surah, you see three categories under that. Women, the main category in that very surah. The second category, the orphans. The third category, the helpless. So the whole surah is about those who are helpless. يستفتونك في النساء قل الله يفتيكم فيهن. They ask you concerning the ruling of women. Allah didn't say, tell them, O Muhammad, this is the ruling. Allah did say, Allah will tell you about the ruling. So He Himself is delivering the ruling. He didn't even give the ruling to the Prophet to deliver. He said, قُلِ اللَّهُ يُفْتِيكُمْ. Allah is doing the fatwa for you on that. Why? Because it's a very important topic. They are very vulnerable. Plenty of abuse has been made against women since long time in history till today. And because their structure, their nature is fragile, nice, weak. So those who are taking advantage of that structure, Allah Azza wa Jal is telling them this is dhulm. On the very same category as well, you have the orphans. Allah Azza wa Jal was very precise in defending the orphans. And both of them are classified under al-mustad'afin, the helpless. So if we learn something from that, we learn that Allah Azza wa Jal is always supporting those who are helpless, those who are oppressed, those who are weak. It doesn't matter which side they are on. As long as they are oppressed and weak, we have to support them. And the Prophet ﷺ, he said, "Ansur akhaka zaliman aw mazluman." Support your brother, whether he is an oppressor or oppressed. They said, "Ya Rasulullah, we understand if he is oppressed, how to support him. But how come we support him if he's an oppressor?" And he said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, to stop him. This is how you support your brother. When he's committing oppression, the way you support him is to stop him. So we have to understand that whatever the situation is, we need always to look after the helpless amongst us. Whether it's in our community or outside our community, whether they are on our side or against us, doesn't matter. As long as it's delivering justice and fairness, we should support those who are helpless, those who are weak, those who are oppressed. Until justice is made, until fairness is delivered, then we can't stay on the side. We can't be spectators. So our duty towards our brothers and sisters in Myanmar is to support as much as we can. Of course, it goes without saying our supplications, our dua all the way through. That's fine. It's given. It's a given. We are not discussing this. But we can do more than that. Write to your MP. Sign one of these petitions which we have online regarding Myanmar and the people of Myanmar. Number 3, the financial support. They are desperate. as I told you, just the last 2 weeks, we have 126,000 left, and every day we have 15,000 just fleeing the villages. So the minimum we can do just to support as much as we could. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will support us as long as we support one another. الله في عون العبد ما كان العبد في عون أخيه. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله الحمد لله وكفى والصلاة والسلام على النبي المصطفى وعلى آله وصحبه ومن بعهده وفى. Our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was always supporting those who are weak, always supporting those who are oppressed and helpless in the community. And even he dedicated a special share in zakah for this category. Amongst them, fuqara, poor people, amongst them al-masakin, and so on. So it's under this category. And those who left their houses, they have nothing. So you can pay your zakat for this category. And it is, of course, one of the categories of zakat. And the Prophet ﷺ as well, he encouraged people to defend the helpless, mustad'afin, be it orphans or women. And these are the most vulnerable categories in the community. And this is where we have the focus. In any attack, you see the main focus. Do we have any fatalities or casualties amongst children, amongst women, amongst... This is usually the main focus. Why? Because the helpless. Those are the helpless. And Allah Azza wa Jal delivered the ruling on the helpless himself. قُلِ اللَّهُ يُفْتِيكُمْ. So Allah is delivering this himself because of the importance of the helpless amongst us. It goes without saying, we have a big respect for those, to a certain extent anyway, to those who are rich, to those who are strong, to those who are in the position of authority and so on. But the neglected area usually are those the helpless. No one cares about them. No one look after them. They are not usually on the top list. If they were on the list even sometimes. So this is why Allah is bringing this category back to the very forefront and say, look, you have to treat people equally. You have to support them. You have to be with them. So we ask Allah Azza wa Jal to enable us to apply the Quran and the Sunnah in our life, and to be amongst those who are defending the helpless, supporting the helpless, and protecting the helpless as much as we could. Allahumma ya Rabbi ya Rahman, ya Badi'a as-samawati wal-ard, ya Dhal Jalali wal-Ikram. Allahumma kun ma'a ikhwanina fi Myanmar. Allahumma kun ma'a ikhwanina fi Myanmar. Allahumma adfa' al-bala'a anhum ya Rabbal Alamin. Allahumma ihfazhum bihifdhik. اللهم احفظهم بحفظك. اللهم احفظهم بحفظك. اللهم إنا نسألك أن تفرج عنهم فرجا عاجلا غير آجل. اللهم فرج عنهم فرجا عاجلا غير آجل. اللهم كن مع المستضعفين في كل مكان يا رب العالمين. كن مع أخواننا في فلسطين وسوريا والعراق. كن مع أخواننا في اليمن. كن مع أخواننا في نيجيريا. كن مع أخواننا في ليبيا. كن مع أخواننا في أفغانستان وباكستان وحيثما كان ظلم وقهر يا الله. اللهم يا حي يا قيوم فرج عن أمة محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم فرجا عاجلا غير آجل. اللهم فرجا عاجلا غير آجل. اللهم فرجا عاجلا غير آجل. اغفر لنا ولوالدينا ولمن علمنا ولمن له حق علينا. ولمن أوصانا بالدعاء ولمن أحسن إلينا ولمن أسأنا إليه. وصلي وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وآله وصحبه أجمعين. عباد الله، إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون.